She's in Nelson County at 9:30 right now. One of these days they'll slow down, won't they?
Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Bullitt County Fiscal Court. It's February the 7th, and it's 9:31 a.m. At this time, Pastor Tim Miller from the Faith Assembly of God from Lebanon Junction, if you would come up and lead us in an invocation and also in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag, please, sir.
Thank you. If you would pray with me. Heavenly Father, we come to you this morning with thanksgiving. Lord, we thank you for the freedoms that we experience in this nation, in our county. And God, we thank you most of all, Lord God, for your grace and your mercy that we could all experience if we so choose. And Lord, I thank you for our officials, Lord God, that have committed to serve our communities. And I pray that you bless them, Lord. I pray, Lord, that you prosper, Lord, our county and our nation, that you prosper our cities, God. Lord, that you cause our small and large businesses in this county to prosper, that the grocery store shelves will be full. God, I pray that you would cause the churches to be full. Lord, that the schools and our children would be safe. And God, I pray that you bless those that lead our county, Lord God. Lord, that you give them wisdom. Lord, that you give them compassion, Lord God. And Father, we just thank you, Lord God, for all that you've given us. And Lord, I pray for each person in this county, Lord God, all the citizens, Lord, that we honor you in all that we do. For it's in your precious name, Jesus, that we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Pastor Miller. At this time, Sam, would you call the roll, please, to bring the meeting to order?
Dara Sanders. Present. Don Loxton.
Here.
Karen Johnson. Ryan Bleemel. Here. Judge Summers.
Here.
All present.
Thank you. At this time, can I end your transfer report, please?
Yes, sir. And those are dated for January the 26th, January the 31st, and also for today, dated February the 7th.
I make a motion that we approve the transfer report, treasurer's transfer report.
A second.
You got a motion by 2nd District Magistrate Logston, a second by 1st District Magistrate Sanders to approve the treasurer's transfer report as presented. Sam, call the roll, please.
Logston.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Bleemel.
Yes.
Judge Summers.
Yes.
Sanders.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. The presentation of all bills.
Put that in the form of a motion to accept and approve all bills.
Second.
I have a motion by 2nd District Magistrate Logsdon, a second by 1st District Magistrate Sanders to approve the bills as presented. Sam, call the roll, please.
Johnson?
Yes.
Blamel?
Yes.
Judge Summers?
Yes.
Sanders?
Yes.
Logsdon?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Approval of the minutes for the January 17th regular meeting of 2023, and then also while we're at it, the January 30th, 2023 special meeting for the county clerk, the voting equipment.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes for January 17th, 2023, special meeting, and January 30th, 2023.
Second.
I got a motion by 1st District Magistrate Sanders, a second by 4th District Magistrate Blamel to approve the minutes from the January 17th regular meeting and the January 30th special meeting. Sam, call the roll, please.
Blamel?
Yes.
Judge Summers?
Yes.
Sanders?
Yes.
Logsdon?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Presentations, and remember those who are going to speak to respect our 3-minute time limit, please. Perry Cook.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen of the court and ladies and gentlemen of Bullitt County. My name is Perry Cook. I'm the Executive Director of Mark 12 Ministries. I just wanted to report real quickly on the K count that happened on January 25th. The K count is facilitated by the Kentucky Housing Authority in partnership with Volunteers of America to take a point in time to count the homeless in the state of Kentucky. And so the results of the K count this year was we were able to identify or find on that day 95 folks who were homeless in our county. We still know that there are over 100 because we did not find everyone. But again, this is a point-in-time survey. So that means that it's just a window of time between 1 o'clock on the 25th and 8 o'clock in the morning on the 26th. Those folks will be counted. Just to let you know, that's a 51% increase from last year's number. We also this year had 3 veterans in our county who are now homeless. The shelter this year, we've had more staying every single night, with 20% of those who are staying with us being women. I just wanted to continue to stress that the need is increasing and that organizations like Mark 12, Housing First, Turnaround Center, we are getting to the point where the problem is getting past our resources. I really have started to call this the 44 problem. And what I mean by that is, I'm sure 40, 50 years ago when folks in this county were thinking about State Route 44, they're like, we're not going to expand it. We like our small country road. Everything's all right. But unfortunately, we're at a point now where 44 may never be fixed. The traffic will always be more than what we can handle because of the development and the housing that continues to grow. Well, the homeless is the same situation. We're at a point in time that as our county continues to grow, if we do not get ahead of this, we'll look back 10 years from now and say, we wish we would have, we should have, we could have, but we didn't. And so I just wanted to, again, bring those numbers to your attention. And my prayer is that, again, I left my number with you guys the last time I visited. I'd love to sit down and have a conversation with anyone about how we can start to attack this situation because it is not going away. It is only growing. And again, organizations like Mark 12 Ministry, we're outgunned, we're outmanned, and we need the help of faith leaders in this community, cities in this community, and citizens and businesses to come together so that we can find a solution so that in the next few years we don't look like Louisville and we don't look like other counties that have fallen prey to the homeless problem. That's all.
Thank you, Perry.
Thanks.
Mike Mayberry, Mike.
Good morning. I'm Mike Mabry. I'm Chairman of the Trustees of Nichols Fire District, and I am here again, as I did last time, to ask for fiscal court to help support Nichols Fire District in buying another fire truck. I sent out an email back January 23, and I didn't get any responses, but I just asked them, do y'all have any questions on what I lined out? We put out a lot of information when I talked last time, and I was wondering was there any questions of the board while I'm here today? That's my main purpose. I'm just trying to keep this going forward for you all that might not know. I'm trying to update our fleet. In a couple of years, we have 4 engines, and in just a few years, they'll be over the 20-year mark. And nationally speaking, 20 years is the life of the fire trucks, and 25, some departments even retire them. So in our small district, we would find it hard to buy a new fire truck to go for the 20 years. So I'm asking for some help from fiscal court and with the ARP funds that we have received from the government, and see if they can find wiggle room to help support that cause. And that's why I'm here. I'm looking forward. Nichols is growing a little slowly. We just started a 100-acre development on top of Hilltop Row on 44, and we've got houses sparsely being built. I'm fairly new to Bullitt County. I've been here 15 years. I bought a little place, and that's kind of how it goes, a little bit at a time. But that's why I'm here. But do y'all have any questions? And I'll get off here. Got a minute left. But any questions y'all like to ask? Oh, Ms. Sanders, you did ask the question if we had a fire truck in mind when last time we did.
I did.
And we actually got a response back from Pierce. It was $674,000 and some change, and $676,929. So that kept us within our budget that we was asking fiscal court for $500,000. We had the $200,000 to make that work. But I can tell you as of today, that price has just went up $21,000 as of February, the price increase that Pierce has during the year. So, but they are out there, and with your all's help, we'd appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Okay.
Mike, with that, you said $676,000, and we need to add 21 more thousand to that?
For that same truck. For that same truck that I just quoted would be.
You're looking at around 700,000.
Yeah, and it still keeps us below the budget. But like I mentioned before, I'm just talking generally. We get this together, we get committed, we'll look for a truck, and we'll stay within budget. This will be a turnkey deal.
And what type of money does the department have to put toward that?
$200,000 toward the 500. I'm looking for 500 from the county, and we have 200, so it'll be a total of 700,000 to purchase a new truck. Thank you. Anything else?
Thank you, Mike.
Hey, y'all have a good day.
Okay. There's no other old business, but right now the first reading public hearing of zoning ordinance 2023-02, Todd and Deborah Lewis, Charlie, and Mr. Spalding.
Zoning docket 2023-Z03, Todd and Deborah Lewis, seeking to rezone from ag to conservation. Located at 975 Martin Hill Road, parcel number 019-000-00-083, in an unincorporated area of the county, dividing into 2 tracts. The Bullitt County Planning Commission, pursuant to provisions of KRS 100.211, held a public hearing concerning the application on January 12, 2023. Based upon the testimony of the applicants and proponents, the Bullitt County Planning Commission finds the requested zoning change is in agreement with the adopted comprehensive plan. Because of the testimony received at the public hearing, the Bullitt County Planning Commission recommends the requested zoning change be approved and sends a favorable recommendation to the Bullitt County Fiscal Court.
Thank you, Charlie.
Commonwealth of Kentucky, County of Bullitt, zoning ordinance number 23-02, an ordinance relating to the changing of zoning of certain property from agricultural to conservation. The property in question is 10 acres more or less, located at 975 Martin Hill Road, parcel number 019-000-00083, in an unincorporated area of the county. Whereas the Fiscal Court of Bullitt County has considered the evidence of the public hearing held by the Joint Planning Commission and the recommendations of the Commission, the information provided in the staff report of the Office of the Bullitt County Planning and Zoning, and the testimony and evidence presented at the public hearing held by the Fiscal Court. And whereas the Fiscal Court concurs in and adopts the reasons of the Joint Planning Commission for said zoning change, and approves and accepts the recommendations of the Planning Commission in this matter as set out in said minutes, and determines that the proposed zoning change is acceptable and should be approved. Now therefore be it ordained by the Fiscal Court of County of Bullitt, Commonwealth of Kentucky, Section 1, that the above property located in the unincorporated area of Bullitt County, and more particularly described in the minutes and records of the Planning Commission and docket number 2023Z-03, is hereby changed from agricultural to conservation. Section 2, this ordinance shall take effect upon passage and publication as required by law. Section 3, should any section, provision, or part of this ordinance be declared unconstitutional or invalid for any reason by a court of competent jurisdiction, then the remainder of this ordinance shall not be affected and shall remain in full force and effect. Section 4, all ordinances and resolutions to the extent they are inconsistent herewith are hereby repealed. Given first reading and public hearing at a regular meeting of the Bullitt County Fiscal Court on the 7th day of February 2023, to be given second reading at a regular meeting of the Bullitt County Fiscal Court on the 21st day of February 2023.
Is anyone here to speak for zoning ordinance 23-02? Todd and Deborah Lewis. Anyone here to speak against zoning ordinance 23-02? Todd and Deborah Lewis. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Baker. Charlie? 23-03, Matthew McIntyre.
Zoning docket 2023-Z07, Matthew McIntyre, seeking to rezone from Ag to B2, located at 6302 Highway 44 East, parcel number 063-NW0-05-004, in an unincorporated area of the county, seeking for the purpose of operating a retail business, salon, etc., anything allowed in B2. Future land use map calls for commercial. The Bullitt County Planning Commission, pursuant to provisions of KRS 100.211, held a public hearing concerning the application on January 12, 2023. Based upon the testimony of the applicants and the proponents, the Bullitt County Planning Commission finds the requested zoning change is in agreement with the adopted comprehensive plan. Because of the testimony received at the public hearing, the Bullitt County Planning Commission recommends the requested zoning change be approved and sends a favorable recommendation to the Bullitt County Fiscal Court.
Thank you, Charlie. Tammy?
Commonwealth of Kentucky, County of Bullitt, zoning ordinance number 23-03, an ordinance relating to the changing of zoning of certain property from agricultural to B2 central business. The property in question is .3376 acres more or less, located at 6302 Highway 44 East, parcel number 063-NW0-05004, in an unincorporated area of the county. Whereas the Fiscal Court of Bullitt County has considered the evidence of the public hearing held by the Joint Planning Commission and the recommendations of the Commission, the information provided in the staff report of the Office of Bullitt County Planning and Zoning, and the testimony and evidence presented at the public hearing held by the Fiscal Court. And whereas the Fiscal Court concurs in and adopts the reasons of the Joint Planning Commission for said zoning change, and approves and accepts the recommendations of the Planning Commission in this matter as set out in said minutes, and determines that the proposed zoning change is acceptable and should be approved. Now therefore be it ordained by the Fiscal Court of County of Bullitt, Commonwealth of Kentucky, Section 1, that the above property located in the unincorporated area of Bullitt County, and more particularly described in the minutes and records of the Planning Commission and docket number 2023Z-07, is hereby changed from agricultural to B2 central business. Section 2, this ordinance shall take effect upon passage and publication as required by law. Section 3, should any section, provision, or part of this ordinance be declared unconstitutional or invalid for any reason by a court of competent jurisdiction, then the remainder of this ordinance shall not be affected and shall remain in full force and effect. Section 4, all ordinances and resolutions to the extent they are inconsistent herewith are hereby repealed. Given first reading and public hearing at a regular meeting of the Bullitt County Fiscal Court on the 7th day of February 2023, to be given second reading at a regular meeting of the Bullitt County Fiscal Court on the 21st day of February 2023.
Thank you, Tammy. At this time, is anyone here to speak for zoning ordinance 23-03, Matthew McIntyre? Go ahead.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
I'm tired, just here to answer any questions regarding
Good deal. Well, thank you, sir, for coming in. Anyone here to speak against zoning ordinance 23-03, Matthew McIntyre? Hearing none, thank you, Matthew, for being here.
Thanks.
Okay. At this time, the next one, before we do 23-04, the first reading of a smoking detector ordinance, I think there's some comments for some folks that like, I know Magistrate Logson does, and some of the folks here who are sponsoring that, along with Magistrate Logson.
If I can, Judge, I'd like to kind of maybe address the attendees of the court here today and kind of bring up why this is on the agenda and where it came into play. Most of you know, obviously, outside of the magistrate, I'm actually a real estate broker and a realtor as well. And just recently, I had a closing in Jefferson County in Louisville, like many others, but this one really kind of stuck out a little bit more than some of the others in the past. At the closing table, in Jefferson County, you're required when you sell a home or transfer a property to sign an affidavit that states that there's a working hardwired smoke detector in the home or there's a 10-year lithium-ion battery in that smoke detector. That's an affidavit required in Jefferson County. And in lieu of the unfortunate tragedy that happened in Lebanon Junction, and for those of you that don't know, Candy is sitting over there. Candy's daughter is extremely close with the family, and we've invited the family, and I know thank you all for coming. First of all, I know this is extremely difficult, but most everybody in here, of course, is aware of the tragedy that happened in Lebanon Junction, where several lives were lost, and the families here today. Is it Kim and Ernie Toogood? Am I pronouncing that right? They are the parents, and Erin was their daughter, Hazley, their granddaughter, Reagan, granddaughter, and of course, Erin was pregnant with unborn grandson, Holton. Is that correct? Their lives were lost in a fire, and it's unfortunate. And it actually got me thinking after signing that affidavit that Bullitt County doesn't have something in place like Jefferson County. I'm not one, and those of you that know me, that's for creating new laws, new ordinances, new rules. But I walked out of that closing table thinking, what if? Just what if? And I'm not here to suggest that anybody's at fault or anybody's at blame in this case, but it made me think that what if? What if there was a working smoke detector in that home? So I reached out to the judge and to Miss Baker, the county attorney, and then I talked to Candy, which I had no idea at the time that Candy was so close with your family and her daughter, and we kind of put our heads together, and I really think this is going to be a good thing moving forward. But we'll go over, and Miss Baker will read the ordinance, but that's where this came from. I mean, we're not trying to reinvent the wheel. This is an affidavit that's required in Jefferson County, but what I thought was, why is it not required here in Bullitt County? Now, Kentucky Building Code, and we got several different fire departments in here today, they can attest to that. I mean, the building code reads and states that, homes built, new construction are required to have working smoke detectors, but of course, over the course of years of people living in a home, things don't work properly, they go out, batteries aren't replaced, smoke detectors aren't replaced. So if we can correct that at the point of a transfer of a sale and maybe bring attention to that, perhaps maybe, if the potential to save one life is there, then I think it's well worth it. And Candy kind of took the liberty to even take this, a step further. And this particular ordinance that Ms. Baker will read shortly is going to be called the Aaron, Hazley, and Reagan Act. And I don't know if the family would like, but I mean, if you feel like we need to, I know this Holton's name's not on here. We can
I added it.
You
I
added
don't
it?
know what I'm going to read.
Okay, so I was going to suggest that we could add that as well, but this will be basically a new provision, new ordinance in Bullitt County, and we'll need the help from the newspaper, Tom Barr, Pioneer News, and myself. I'll reach out to GLAR, the Greater Louisville Association of Realtors. We need to kind of make sure that people are aware of this, when this takes place, because whether it's attorneys, closing attorneys, whether it's mortgage companies, it's an affidavit, it's a one simple page form at closing. When you sell your property, you go to closing as a seller, you'll be required to sign a form that says there's a working smoke detector in the home. But we've also extended this beyond to not only the transfer of a sale, but this is going to extend on to landlords. If you lease a property moving forward, at the time of signing that lease agreement, you will be required to sign a form that there's a working smoke detector that's either hardwired or includes a 10-year lithium battery in that smoke detector. Sorry, I'm kind of shaking here a little bit, but I don't know what else to say. I mean, I appreciate you all coming here. I know it's an unfortunate thing that happened, and I'm not here to blame anybody, but what I am here to do is to introduce this new ordinance, and hopefully that maybe, if anything, that there is a potential to save a life, because when you buy a home and you step in that home, the seller's going to say that there's a working smoke detector in their home because they've had it tested that. I've been to closings where realtors have brought smoke detectors into the closing, I've never really the importance and the significance of that affidavit. I've been in closings where honestly it's been joked about, and I've been guilty of it myself, to be perfectly honest. But the timing was just so gut-wrenching that I felt like something needed to be done. So I'll leave it at that. I don't know if anybody else wants to make any comments regarding that, but I really thank you all for being here today, and hopefully maybe we can save somebody's life in the future.
Yep, we echo your comments, so I do anyway, Sean. And again, our condolences.
Thank you.
And at this time, Ms. Baker, you can read this in summary form, or it's at your choice, okay? But it's a first reading of zoning ordinance 23-04.
Thank you, Judge. Commonwealth of Kentucky, County of Bullitt, zoning ordinance number 23-04, an ordinance relating to the installation and verification of working smoke detectors in all Bullitt County residential dwellings. Whereas, to provide for the health, safety, and welfare of Bullitt County residents, it has become necessary to require the installation of working smoke detectors and verification of same by owners of real property at the time of transfer or lease. And whereas the fiscal court recognizes the unimaginable tragedy that recently befell a Bullitt County family, and as such names this ordinance the Aaron, Hazley, Reagan, and Holton Act. Now therefore, be it ordained by the Fiscal Court of County of Bullitt, Commonwealth of Kentucky. Section 1, in summary, Section 1, definition of smoke detector. Section 2, smoke detectors required. Section 3, non-interference, meaning no person may interfere with or disengage a smoke detector. Section 4, rental units, smoke detectors required in every rental unit. Section 5, transfer or lease. At the time of transfer or leasing a property, there should be an affidavit signed and attested to by the transferor or leaseor that there is a working smoke detector. Section 6, severability. Section 7, inconsistent ordinances repealed. Section 8 is publication requirement. Given first reading at a regular meeting of the Bullitt County Fiscal Court on the 7th day of February 2023, to be given second reading at a regular meeting of the Bullitt County Fiscal Court on the 21st day of February 2023.
Thank you, Tammy.
And just to kind of echo on that, as I mentioned, several fire departments are in here today, and thank you all for being here, but in just looking at some statistics and stuff, the National Fire Protection Association, a couple things that really jump out is almost 3 out of 5 home fire deaths were caused by fires in properties with no smoke alarms. That's 41%, or smoke alarms that failed to operate, which was 16%. So 41% of fire deaths occurred because there simply wasn't a smoke detector in the home. So when you think about that, I mean, hopefully this ordinance here at the time of a sale, the time of a transfer, the time of signing that lease agreement, that part of that burden is going to fall back on the homeowner or the landlord, because I do feel like it's their duty to make sure the house is safe for whoever takes over ownership of that. So thank you for preparing this, and thank everybody for their input in this, and once again, thank you all for being here, and hopefully this will honor them in a very special way.
Thank you all.
You got a question?
Does that also include the apartment complexes, not just physical structures, but multifamily?
Yes, yes. And I did read it in summary, but we probably should get a copy to all the fire districts and departments so you all could take a look at it. But yes, it requires in like the hallways, common areas. Yes.
I don't think we're trying to do anything that the building code wouldn't suggest initially, but what happens is at the time of transfer or sale, it's just a reminder that this stuff is there and exists, because obviously when you build something, you sell something, things happen, over the course of the time of somebody living there. This is just kind of a refresher that things are working right when you sell and transfer that property or lease it out to somebody.
And Judge, if I could just add, if it would be possible to send the ordinance out to all the fire district chiefs, and then if anybody does have any comments, please send them back to me. We can make changes if any of the technical stuff is off.
Yes, you sure can. That'd be terrific.
Sorry?
We do have a few questions outside of the
I can take care of them. Thank you.
And as I've mentioned before, we understand that you all do a tremendous amount of work, and hopefully we're not trying to burden you with additional, installations or things of that nature. But we're really trying to put the responsibility on that homeowner and that landlord in this particular case.
Yeah. Okay, any other discussion? Excuse me.
This is just the first reading, so no action.
All right, there we go. Okay, actions requested on an interlocal agreement with Bullitt County Board of Education for road maintenance and improvement. The agreement's in your packets. And this is related to the school up on 44.
This is related to only one location or all Bullitt County schools?
Ms. Sanders, the way it's drafted, it's not specific to one project.
Right, there you go.
So it's not specific to one project.
Right.
So for the term of the agreement, it would give the ability for the county and the school board to work together on it.
Right.
It's not project specific.
And for the other magistrates, I think this kind of got initiated to let you know, I had a meeting with the Bullitt County School Board, several members, not school board, but several members of Bullitt County Public Schools at Eastside Middle School. Eastside Middle School has really turned into a major problem with traffic and congestion on Highway 44. So we met with our road department, met there. I had kind of been reached out to by multiple times by different members of Bullitt County Schools about, is there something we can do? We've got a county road that adjoins property to Eastside Middle School, Ellis Cook Road. And what we're looking and proposing to do there is, this is all kind of potential proposal, but we're looking at different ways to kind of increase the traffic flow, so to speak, there with Eastside. Right now, there's only one entrance into Eastside schools. The school buses, the parents, the teachers, the faculty. There's no students driving, of course, there, but they all share the same entrance. And that entrance was initially a two-way entrance, but there's been kind of a middle lane divided there. But as you pull into Eastside, I've had kids there, a couple of kids that went there. They're in both in Bullitt East now, but I dropped them off and sat in that traffic several different times. But as you enter the school, they have two rows of traffic. And then the buses have to kind of fight to get in and out at the same time during this probably 30-minute transfer of students and buses. So what we're looking at doing, the school contacted us to see if we could cooperate with them about Ellis Cook. Ellis Cook's a road that adjoins the property there to the left of the school. We're looking at potentially widening that and maybe making a connecting road to the parking lot to allow the buses the ability to go out Ellis Cook and use that road, and then all the parents and faculty continue using the entrance there for Eastside. But before we could even kind of move forward, I know the agreement had to be in place, and that was kind of that. And that's kind of, I think, maybe got the start of the Eastside, but obviously that ordinance is something that could be countywide if the road department or our county needs to work with any of the schools, whether it's your district or any else. But that's kind of what this got started. We're looking at a way to widen Ellis Cook so that buses can safely get out of that property. we don't have cost or nothing like that at this point, but just kind of getting an agreement in place so we can move forward with the proposal.
So this is really going to benefit the school buses.
It's going to benefit, really, I think overall the community, because if you drove through at 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock on 44, it's a nightmare around the east side.
Yep.
And they've got all this property, and it's all, and I brought this up in fiscal court years, in the past several different times, but it blows my mind that you've got all this property, but you've got all these cars backed up on 44 trying to get in this little bitty parking lot. And they're just backed up for a mile, both directions, and then the buses are trying to get out, and it's just not safe. So they were looking at ways, and they approached us, with our road being next to them, and so this is kind of this ability to kind of get us to the drawing board. I mean, we'll come back with some numbers and stuff, I mean, that you all probably have to approve, when we get to that point, but right now, the interlocal agreement is, we provide the equipment, the labor, and the school would have to buy, all the materials and that type of thing, very similar to some of our ordinances. We'll have more details as we get along, but really, we're trying to cooperate with the school board and find a way to help solve traffic issues on 44 right there at the east side. And we've got a county road there, so we need to do something about that.
Yep.
So I got a question also. So has there been any kind of traffic study on, are the buses maybe going to come out Ellis Cook?
That's the thought, that's what the school wants to do. The school's done several different kind of studies, and they've examined it, and they kind of had their opinion of what they wanted to do, and that's kind of what we're following and working off of. They want to use Ellis Cook as a way to come out during that 30-minute time period, but it needs to be widened for sure.
So has there been, has anybody talked with the state highway department? Because all I'm bringing up is I went to sell a piece of property and there wasn't enough sight distance. If you come out of Ellis Cook, I know where that's at, right by the school. To turn left, there's a hill coming from out.
Right.
And I don't know that there's not enough, but if you're not real careful, there could be somebody coming up over that hill and you pull it out.
Yeah, another thing that we'll probably, we discussed that at our meeting, and they didn't feel like that was going to be a major problem because of the speed limit. But we also discussed the possibility of even reducing the speed limit. It's a state road, we don't have control over it, but we've done this on Preston about making a recommendation to the state to actually decrease the speed limit on 44 from the start of that caution school zone all the way up into the traffic light that's being installed right now. So I was there in the meeting, so I know it's definitely concerned the school board, but as far as the state, I don't think the state was contacted prior to the meeting that I had with them, but they had their checklist of things to do, and I know Robert was there, and he said before we even touch that road, we've got to get approval from the state and so forth. So I know it's on their agenda to do, but I don't know if that's been done yet, to answer your question.
Okay. And then so like on the interlocal agreements, they used to always be specific. So this one just says from March 1st of 2023 to February 28th, so that's a year. So anything that the school board, would it have to come back up before fiscal court, or do they just say, well, we need this done, and then we just do it?
I assume.
My question.
I mean, I assume that the judge might not answer that question, but if you're addressing me, I assume that anything, cost-wise would have to be specifically approved, but this just gives us the ability to do that. So if they see a county road truck sitting over there on east side, somebody don't go, why is the county over there at the middle school? So that's my thought. I don't know, I might be wrong.
And it would keep us from having to do another interlocal agreement.
Right. Yep.
I may or may not answer the question on that.
No, I was just curious. Like I said, one time we blacktopped High School Drive, right next to Bullitt Central, but it was specific to High School Drive. It wasn't, just for a year long, anything in these. So can we fix their parking lots or anything? It says agreement is formed purpose of construction, reconstruction, and maintenance of municipal roads or bridges.
I think at some point, we have to be good stewards of the taxpayers' money still. I mean, even doing this, when I met with the school board, there's still, it sounds all great, we're in a local agreement, we're supplying the equipment, we're doing the labor, but there's still a tremendous amount of cost associated with that. So we still have to evaluate if that cost that we absorb in terms of using our equipment, using our labor, is it worth it for the betterment of the county? And I think that's just something we got to look at and see. Right now, I know it's just a major traffic issue, and they really want some help and thought that Ellis Cook could kind of eliminate some of that traffic on the county road. And I can't really answer, details.
To answer that though, with the interlocal agreement, Judge Summers dictates the day-to-day operations of all the departments, including the road department. So it really would be up to the judge. If we're not spending tax dollars, he could say, hey, today the department's going to go over here and help with this issue at the school. This agreement would allow that to happen.
Well, I think it should be specific, each ordinance like this as far as, or each interlocal agreement. That's my personal opinion. Because we could spend a lot of time at the school board on different, how many schools do we have in the county? There's traffic everywhere, and a lot of that is because there's a shortage of bus drivers, and so a lot of parents have to take their kids to school. So there's a lot of your traffic problem. I think they should be ordinance specific for projects. Personal. I'm not saying it doesn't need to happen. I know, I've been through there. I've seen the traffic. It's bad. Nobody will let the buses out. So, I'm just concerned if the sight distance of Ellis Cook, maybe if they come in and then go out, because there is enough sight distance at the main entrance. But I need to kind of look at sight distance coming out.
Yeah,
for a school bus.
I don't disagree with you on that, but that was something that got brought up. I just simply want to get the ball moving so they can get a proposal together and start working on it, because they were really hoping to do something before, probably start as soon as school's out, and then probably get that project done, in the summertime before school goes back. So I know there'll be a lot of design work and stuff like that that's necessary. So I don't have a problem making anything specific to if you, I was going to make a motion on that, but it sounds like if you want it specific, I don't care to make this one specific to East Side, but I'll make a motion that we approve an interlocal agreement with the Bullitt County Board of Education for road maintenance improvement related to East Side Middle School. Question?
Judge, can I come up and ask a question?
Okay.
Well, Judge, right now you have a motion, so you want to get a second before you open it up.
Oh, or you and me withdraw my motion after he speaks, and then I withdraw it.
Yeah,
Is that acceptable?
You can.
you can, yeah.
I'll just withdraw my motion until Mr. Mooney's done with his question, and then
I think I am not against what's being presented. I'll start off saying that. But something you said about being a good steward of the money tripped a thought in my head. So you all are aware of, being good stewards is a two-way street. County Board of Elections have the ability to take any taxpayer-funded building for the use of elections. I have a letter from the school system telling me that I cannot take and be in the public schools during the 3 days of early voting. They are more than happy to still let us in on traditional election day, but not early voting. And early voting is 3 8-hour days. It's a scramble. We can find good buildings, but we can't find them with parking lots. I ask you all to reconsider, to think about the fact that it should be a two-way street. And if you're going to ask, it looks like now is the time to consider this, that if we enter this interlocal agreement, does it need to be an interlocal agreement that also contains access to the schools for 3-day early voting period? Because everybody in this room is used to voting in schools. I'm not trying to get political about this. My job is to provide customer service for elections. And so I have one or two questions floating in my mind. Does this interlocal need to be followed by one that says there's an agreement with the school system that we can use schools for 3-day as well as traditional Tuesday elections? Or do we tie these two together, saying that all in one? I don't know. You all are the fiscal court, but I want you to be aware that this is a problem. I can't use the public school based on a letter they've given me. And I'm not sure which way or where this is going for the future. But you all need to be aware of this, because this interlocal brought it to my mind that this is the time to share it with you all, so you're aware of what's going on. Elections are only 2 times a year, but they are remarkably important on those 2 times when they happen.
I personally think that that would be a separate interlocal agreement. This would relate to construction, because I think we could spend a whole day talking about that, because honestly, is having kids in school, I could see the school board's point of limiting access to a building when there's students in there. I've been there to vote. If school is in session and voting's going on, I think that, that creates in my personal opinion, I mean, I'm just talking out loud on my soapbox, but we can talk more about this in detail and find out what the details are, but that creates a security nightmare in terms of students and people being able to access the building, and I think security's got to be something that's really got to be looked at from the law enforcement side. I don't know, I can't imagine thousands and thousands of people entering a building, while students are still there in the school, but that might be their justification. I don't know what if they even gave a reason, but I guess you were suggesting that this whole early voting thing's new for everybody, of course, over the last couple of years. So if I'm on the school board, or if I'm working at the school, I got to think about the safety of the children, and I think that is probably, I can't speak on their behalf, but that would be a concern of mine. I don't know, the sheriff might be able to even address that more, but I would think that might be something we got to look at real close before we just say the school's not cooperating. I would just be concerned if my students are in there and we got thousands and thousands of people coming and going. I don't know. I'm just talking out of turn, but it'd be hard to really kind of police that, to know who's coming and going. Are they really there to vote, or do they have something in their backpack or purse? So I mean, I see smiles and glad, but there's shootings school shootings every day. So I mean, we have to be, we have to be vigilant of that. But we can. My personal opinion, I think that would be a separate than what this is. This is. I didn't realize there'd be so much conversation regarding it, but I mean, this is just trying to widen Ellis Cook and help get the traffic off the road and move it along. I've got a motion. I'm gonna make a motion now that we entertain and enter an interlocal agreement with Bullitt County Board of Education for road maintenance improvement, specifically related to East Side Middle School.
I second.
I have a motion on the floor by 2nd District Magistrate Logsdon, and a second by 1st District Magistrate Sanders. The motion is to make this interlocal agreement specific to East Side Middle School. Any other discussion?
I think we should consider also what Kevin said, because it is a two-way street, and everybody's happy to help me, but you scratch my back. But
this is not a quid pro quo court, and that's what I hear what's going on here. So there's also KRS that's been done by the Kentucky State Legislature, that everyone has to go into a school during the day, has to sign in. So let's like I said, this is not quid pro quo. We don't do things like that with this court. Sam, call the roll.
Judge Summers?
Yes.
Sanders?
Yes.
Logsdon?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Flamel?
yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Number 5, action requested on food service partnership agreement with Summit Food Services and Bullitt County Detention Center.
While you're walking up here, thanks for getting out in the community. I'm seeing all kinds of pictures, seeing you out there picking up trash. Good job.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Did everybody get a copy of the contract, I assume? We're asking for new service for Summit Food Service to replace Kelwell. Kelwell, they ended their contract, I think around January 13th. We've been doing it in-house. We hired 2 full-time, 2 part-time. In this agreement, those employees will switch over to Summit. I know there's a tremendous price increase. Summit was the only bid, and it's going to be cheaper going with them than it would be us doing it on our own. Based on 280 inmates, it's going to increase up to $539,000. The weekly scale rate would be based on 7 days divided by 21. So that being said, the average meal based on 280 inmates will be $1.75, round off to $1.76. So we're asking for this contract to be approved for Summit Food Services.
And Judge, I did review the contract, made some changes. Summit accepted the changes, so this contract is legally sound.
I know it's a tremendous increase, but food is not cheap anymore, as everybody knows when they go to the grocery store.
Well, I'll make a motion that we accept the food service partnership agreement with Summit Food Service. Ms. Baker says she's had the ability to look over the contract, make some revisions, and if it's, you put it out for bid, the primarily the only person that bid it back, you feel comfortable with them?
We reached out to Trinity, Earmark, and there might be another one, but we never got any return calls. But this is, the Summit serves like over 20 jails, I believe, in the state, if I remember right.
Well, I'll put that in the form of motion that we accept the food service partnership agreement with Summit Food Service and Bullitt County Detention.
Second.
I got a motion on the floor by 2nd District Magistrate Logston, a second by 4th District Magistrate Blamo to approve the service partnership agreement with Summit Food Service for the Bullitt County Detention Center. Sam, call the roll.
Sanders?
Yes.
Logston? Johnson?
Yes.
Flamo?
Yes.
Judge Summers?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you, Brian. Actions requested on your carousel for your commissary.
Yes, we replaced them also. Kelwell had that. They were also the only vendor. We might have had one other one, but this is the one that we're going with. I can't remember. We may have had a second one. However, this is also a 4-year contract. We make money through the commissary off of commission. The commissary is delivered once a week for the inmates. It has a 60-day written notification on it if we choose to. But these are really good people, and people that we have built a good relationship with. And this we would like to get this contract approved also. Please.
And they accepted our changes also.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'll put that in form of motion as well, that we accept the agreement with Carousel and Bullitt County Detention Center to provide commissary goods for inmates.
Thank you.
Second.
Got a motion by 2nd District Magistrate Logston, a second by 4th District Magistrate Blamo to approve the Carousel agreement with the Bullitt County Detention Center to provide commissary goods. Sam, call the roll, please.
Logston?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Flamo?
Yes.
Judge Summers?
Yes.
Sanders?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Number 7, actions requested on the commercial lease with Claremont Holdings LLC. That is the proposal for the, what I'm going to say, the development on our property and private property at exit 245.
Judge, the only thing I would say about this one is the copy that I got didn't have the updated Exhibit B. We'll just want to make sure
It's
it's
on.
executed, that we've got the updated
Gotcha.
Exhibit B. This one was extensively negotiated.
Absolutely. Thank you, Tammy.
I had a couple questions about it, but as I dig deeper, I've answered some of them myself. I don't know if any other magistrates have any questions about this before we move forward.
I do have some concerns about it. One of them is on page I guess 3, your question about putting in 30 electrical car charging stations within 36 months. And I do see the word if federal funds is available. If funds are not available, who's going to pay for this?
The developer will.
The developer.
Yeah, it's not, we're not liable for any buildings or anything except for we get exactly what you saw on the exhibits. It's all private development. We own the property. We'd be able to get the tangible tax, the insurance premium surcharge, and a huge increase in our transient room tax. And right now the property's not generating any revenue at all.
And then I did have another one. Give me a moment.
I guess, after you go ahead on the 1 and 2 before I'm home.
The other one is clearing the property. The way I'm reading it is that we will clear the property and make it level. And I do understand there are several buildings there already. So will our road department be doing that, or
We'll have to look at that at the time.
at our expense?
Do what now?
Will it be at our expense
No.
as taxpayers?
It won't be at our expense.
Sanders, are you looking at a specific provision on here? I was just trying to find
Right.
where you were.
Page 2, number 5,
Okay.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
I was trying to look for it here.
5A.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Oh, okay. Just as I'm looking at it.
And it also says the leaser, so that's us, we will build a EMS and fire center within 36 months. So where are we doing that?
Do what now?
So Part D says leaser will build an EMS fire center within 36 months of the effective date. So is that maybe the one we're doing in Lake Junction, or are we doing another one in that area?
Yeah, there should be one. The way that I read that is they're going to build one on the property. The leaseor.
But the leaseor
Is us.
is us.
Yes.
Right.
We're the
Well, the leasee's going to build it.
Well,
Well,
that's
this
not the
says
way
we're
it's
going to build
wrote.
it.
It's all wrote leaseor. He is the tenant, is the way it's described in paragraph 1.
I think what that's relating to is there's been possible discussion, there's where this property is located, obviously, my only concern would be within 18 months, I'll take a step back. In paragraph 5, basically, there's a couple buildings on that property. So in order for this to move forward, those buildings are going to be removed.
Right.
And as part of those buildings being removed, one of them is the fire station that actually is being utilized as primarily storage, if I'm not mistaken. Storage, and you've had conversations, I've had conversations with Southeast relating to that. So I think that they're under the understanding of what their expectations are as far as forfeiting that building, if I'm saying that right. Is that right? The only concern I guess I would have is we've talked about for a long time, ever since I took office, about needing to make improvements to the animal shelter, animal control facility, animal shelter, whatever you want to call it. I would like to change the terminology there, maybe animal control facility or something like that. But is 18 months enough time to allow us to do that? And it says and I don't know if that's a hard number, if we're committing that to the tenant, that we're going to have that removed in that time period.
Right.
But I know
we will.
I know it's big plans to have this has nothing to do with property, but for a long time, we've talked about really building a state-of-the-art animal control facility. We've just outgrown that when it's outdated.
Right.
We've got a partnership with Hardin County, and we've talked about making some major improvements to that, and that's something I've been excited about the last 4 years, but this kind of all falls and puts a little bit more pressure and kind of pushes us along there to the finish line with that. But 18 months is that good? That was the only real question I think I had. I looked over everything, answered a lot of questions. I would just be concerned that 18 months may not be enough time.
I guess my question is, will they be building this on the property, or will this be a different location for the animal shelter
It's an entirely different location.
It'll be a different location.
here in Bullitt County?
Yes, Yep.
And it will be at our expense to build that?
Right.
And we've already, in the budget, the last couple budget cycles, Keith could probably talk to you directly how much money, but this won't be nothing new, like we've got to come up with the money. We've been putting money aside for the last couple budget cycles to build a new animal control, before this even came into play. I'll be honest, I was $100,000 each year. That's just a start. It may cost more to build it, but that'd be a good down payment to, if we got $300,000 to put down. I think I even brought some examples a few years ago of a facility that's built in my hometown, where I'm originally from, Litchfield, where they built a place, I think it was like $400,000, and it was like the Taj Mahal of animal controls, hotels, and it was amazing. It was a really nice facility. So I think you can do a lot for the money. But I was skeptical about this at first when it first came about, but everybody, I think a lot of the people has been here consistently and followed this project along. I know Tom is referencing the newspaper a lot, so it's not a secret what's happening here. Was it back in December, a presentation was given on the design of this. I think this could be a really state-of-the-art kind of opportunity here, and another way to eliminate the potential of warehouses coming in, to 245 and our tourism corridor, by having something that really falls in line with tourism. And the architectural design, the landscape design, the way that they're going to tie that into nature and make it part, it just really seemed like a pretty neat thing. I was blown away by the presentation. We had a presentation from this Claremont Holdings and some of the other projects that they have worked on and partnered with. It's just unbelievable that they didn't consider Bullitt County to be a part of this. It was really overwhelming to think of some of the golf resorts and different places that they've developed, and they wanted to be part of the Bourbon Trail or part of Bullitt County. So I think with us already having intentions of relocating the animal shelter and us obtaining that property back, I think obviously it's going to be a big plus for tourism. There are some things that probably some nuts and bolts and stuff in here that we may need to look at. I'm not sure, but looking over this kind of finalized version, but I think I've answered most of my questions.
But to be clear, the word says lessor, that is us. That's
Right.
Lessor is us, tenant is the terminology for the...
Yeah. And I don't know if the court has the updated Exhibit B. We negotiated that one extensively because the original Exhibit B was pretty bare bones.
Right.
But I don't know if the updated one is in the council or the court's packet. Yeah, this has changed from what you all have. Because we thought this was too bare bones, and this doesn't follow the proposal or the presentation if you look at this Exhibit B. So there is an updated Exhibit B.
Yep.
And also, I noticed where it said that there would be 3 buildings located on premise for us to rent with no charge, I should say, rent free. What are the 3 buildings that we're looking at? Do we know at this point?
It's at 3 pads.
3 pads, okay.
That's going to be up to us.
Up to us.
What we want to do. It's not, the exhibits that you saw is what's going to be their hard fast, yes, and along the same architectural design to fit the area. There'll be opportunities for us to increase our revenue stream with this, because there is no revenue at the existing property all the way around. We'll have the opportunity to build a animal control center. We'll have the opportunity to, if we choose, because we've got an agreement with the Southeast Fire Department to, at the time in place, to put our ambulances there as well. So this is an opportunity to portray our community in a different light, in a different economic development base as well, Vera.
Most of my questions have been answered.
Okay.
And if it helps too, in the updated Exhibit B, the design and development plan has to come back for approval.
Right.
They can't just put up buildings, that's part of it.
That's all part of it here.
But the anchor for us is going to be the potential to have the Bullitt County Tourism Center relocated there, and the designs and drawings I've seen of that, are just unbelievable. So I'm not suggesting that what we have now is not great, but I think for a staple in this community to be able to have a tourism center right off the exit there, to kind of catch people before they hit Jefferson County or Louisville. Louisville's continuously tried to steal. I know that that's the start of the Bourbon Trail, but in reality, we know that's not necessarily the case. But I mean, I think that whole exit there is just got so much potential and the last thing we want to see is more warehouses, being built.
Yeah. Oh, yes, it does all the way around. Yes, it helps us portray what I'm gonna say, a different image. I mean, it's a great entrance into what I'm gonna say, southern Kentucky, central Kentucky, and a great example of what our community is. So, and it's the only exit left that is still where we have an opportunity to do that with.
I was not here for that December meeting when the presentation, but was there pictures and video shown of that?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
So anybody that's followed along and seen that, if not, they can go back on YouTube there and watch that video. But there's a December.
Well, we can send it out too. I mean, we have it on disc.
I mean, there's no secrets of what's been done and proposed here. It's really an amazing thing.
This becomes too, Judge, if I can, just real quick. This not only is the true beginning of the Bourbon Trail, which we will take ownership of, we'll take that away from Louisville because they stole it from us, we're going to give it back. But it also is the true entrance to the south.
Right.
If you all pass this, I'll just jump ahead to the next one, if we pass that, we have an opportunity to brand ourselves because, okay, you come over, you cross the bridge, you come into Louisville, let's all be honest, that's not the south. You get out of Jefferson County, the first place you're going to see coming down 65 is that, and we will be able to brand ourselves. Not only is the true beginning of the Bourbon Trail, but the true beginning of your journey into the South. I mean, there's so much potential with this. Again, revenue-wise, tourism-wise, image-wise, and then the things that can jump off from this as well. The growth that we can have there, that this body can control.
Right.
Which is what is the biggest piece of that.
Well, I'm good moving forward. I just want to make sure we don't cut any corners with relocating the animal control facility and make sure we do that the right way. But with that being said, I'll make a motion that we accept the commercial lease with Claremont Holdings LLC.
I did have one more question, but if we have to wait.
We'll need a second to the motion before we can discuss.
Yeah. Got a motion by 2nd District Magistrate Logston, a second by 3rd District Magistrate Johnson. Discussion?
So and I'm just concerned about the water field station. So there'll be another one relocated. I didn't see anything in this package about it.
We've had those discussions to help you, and I'll assure you this with Louisville Water. They've been out here because we have all the water projects going on. They were going to relocate that anyway. So it's going to be relocated in an area close to where it's at now with good access.
A lot of people depend on that, so I'm just...
The accessibility will be better.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Be a whole lot better. So, any other discussion?
I just want to let you know, when I came into the meeting, because I did review all this, I wasn't ready to go forward, but I will say after a lot of my questions have been answered, I'm good.
Okay, thank you, Magistrate Sanders. Okay, Sam, call the roll, please.
Johnson?
Yes.
Flemel?
Yes.
Judge Summers?
Yes.
Sanders?
Yes.
Logston?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you all.
Very much. This is a great opportunity for our community all the way around. The next item is this, a purchase agreement with Noble West Developers LLC, and for the audience, it's the property on 245 adjacent to the Bullitt County Fairgrounds. And any discussion about the agreement there? It's a simple purchase agreement. We went through all the
PBA's here, but also y'all saw the folks who made sure that we're not paying over the value of the property as well. And it's for the good of our community as well, to help the area develop in a in a different aspect of economic development through tourism or for recreation or whatever this court deems it be necessary for moving forward in our, what I'm going to say, our tourism zone.
And this is from ARPA funds, which
Right.
we set aside.
Right.
And we had to get fair market value, that's why we did DBA, which gave us fair market value, but we did the extra step to do an appraisal. I think you've all seen that, and Mr. Bleeman sent the full appraisal. So we did do that extra step, but it had to be within fair market value. We're asking $5 million, fair market value is $5 million.
And I think to echo that, it might have seemed at the last meeting that there was like, I don't even want to say secrets, but I know it was kind of like brushed over because when the judge and Keith had to pursue, and the judge's office pursue this, it's my understanding, you know, that anytime you're purchasing real estate, be involved with real estate, obviously you don't want, if I'm going to buy a property, I don't want my neighbor to know I'm buying the property. I'm in the process of buying the property right now, but I don't want the neighbor to know I'm buying that property. And so it's one of those things where it's kind of a double-bladed sword. So I just wanted to reiterate to the court that I hope the court, that the people feel that the court was being transparent through the process, but you know, there was given a PVA number or something in one of the last meetings, and I know I had a couple comments and people reach out to me about, you know, what property is that, what is, but I mean, now, obviously, you know, the people are aware of the property. It's a property that joins the Bullitt County Fairgrounds. Bruce, are you still on the fair board?
No, I haven't been up for 20 years.
20 years.
And I appreciate that, though.
But I know you was real involved with it one time, but one of the things...
The mayor here is on the board.
Well, one of the things that we want to do is, you know, strengthen our relationship with the fair board and obviously look for other opportunities, but this property is going to, you know, give the ability for the, you know, who knows what we could do with the property, but the main thing, I mean, there's a million different things we can do, but the main thing is obviously we're protecting that tourism corridor from allowing something else to come in there when we feel like that it's such a pinnacle point there to this whole county as you enter Bullitt County coming north on 65 and obviously some surrounding counties. I see the fair, they got events going on over there all the time, so I think there's a lot of ways that we can team up with you all at the fair board and make some improvements to that facility, make improvements to the place, potentially expand. I really get excited about the opportunity that we have Bullitt County for tourism when it comes to terms of the fair board and different things like that. So when it was presented and brought it forward to me, I thought, wow, you know, because I always would love to see some improvements to the Bullitt County Fairgrounds.
Good move, sir.
And I think that, you know, where we're located at, a lot of people's looking to get out of Jefferson County, and with this other anchor on the other side of the interstate, this is all going to tie in. It's going to be something really special. And I think that we can protect what happens there and not allow another warehouse to come in there.
Okay.
That's my soapbox there, Bruce.
You did a nice job.
I'm talking too much today. Somebody else needs to shut me up or just keep talking.
Well, you make a lot of money doing that, so it's okay.
I guess that's because I'm an auctioneer. We talk a lot, don't we, Bruce?
That's our job.
Okay. So any other discussion or questions about the purchase of the property? And it will be, we have designated the ARPA funds to purchase this with as well.
And even outside of that, I don't think I would even entertain this had we not been able to eliminate some of the debt, free up some finances moving forward. But I mean, I think even if the ARPA funds did exist, you know, it's still invested in real estate. Obviously, if we had some money set aside in the county, it's not going to grow any interest in the county. But I'll make a motion that we enter the purchase, or that we approve the purchase agreement with Noble West Developers LLC.
Okay.
I'll second.
Got a motion by 2nd District Magistrate Logsdon, a second by 1st District Magistrate Sanders to enter into the purchase agreement with Noble West Developers LLC.
And the important thing to mention moving forward, obviously anything that happens to the property will have to be presented to the court and approved. So I mean, nothing could be snuck in there or anything. Right. The court will have to approve anything.
Oh, it won't be. No, it's, no.
So you want a warehouse, Karen?
No.
No more warehouse.
No more. There you go. So any other discussion, Magistrate Bleeman, any comments? concerns?
Keith, you did say there was an environmental
Yes.
study done. That's the only concern I have.
The noble folks who bought it from the Myers, which we're going to put a warehouse there, did the environmental.
Yeah.
We'll take ownership of all of that.
All right, we get all that in agreement.
And one of the things that allowed this product to be available for us, Keith, you could maybe reiterate this to the public or those here, you know, it was also a little secret because it was technically kind of under contract.
Yes.
You know, so we didn't know if this was even going to be something that could actually come into fruition. It's my understanding that basically some of the restrictions that we placed with the tourism overlay kind of altered the plans of the purchaser because it didn't allow them to build the size of facility that they wanted to build and do some different things with the architectural layouts, the berms. There's a lot of things that we put into place. I don't know, was it a year or two ago?
It's been a little while back, the judge, we reinforced those, we put the overlay in.
Okay.
And then with the Rasani group, who was marketing this, we said if this ever becomes available, we want to be
Right, first in
next in
line.
line. We want to be the first in line. And these folks came in and wanted a 1 million square foot warehouse. Well, it had to be under 400. You all probably remember this, they had to build a park. They had to have an exit somewhere else. We put a lot of things on there that they had to do, and they continued to say, okay, well, we'll do that. Well, it got to a point where costs and things like that came up, and so they reached out and said, hey, if you are serious, and that's when we pushed forward. The reason we put the PDA, we could, they were still under contract. So what this does is that will go away. Now, I'm going to start, if this passes, once this passes, I will reach out to that group and say, there are other places that, you know, maybe we can look where you can move a warehouse. We can, you know, help them relocate somewhere else, maybe out of this county, like down the road, past Lake Junction, where there's a bunch of land in there. So we can do that, but that's where that.
Yeah, GameStop.
Yeah, thanks for that. I know
GameStop and Shepherd's.
maybe question marks, so this that might answer some of those questions, but we definitely want to do what can help your group there and enhance that entire area. And I'm excited about what 245 is going to look like. Maybe, I don't know, what would you guess, next 5 years? I mean, what do we, it's hard to say, but I mean, we're planting the seed, I mean, for the future.
Once we got it, we can start moving forward.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think I got a motion on the floor to accept the purchase agreement with Noble West Developers by myself.
No, we got 2 seconds now. You got Magistrate Johnson and Magistrate Sanders as well, and also to cut the check upon approval.
Okay.
Yeah, and the checks will be, we put 100,000 down, and then in closing, because they'll have to put all their stuff together, at closing, we'll pay.
Yeah. So, yeah. So, yeah. So Sam, call the roll, please.
Blemo?
Yes.
Judge Summers?
Yes.
Sanders?
Yes.
Logston?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Motion carried.
There you go. Yeah, thank you all. Okay, the next one, and always they all come up at the same time because we've been working on these for years. This one has a great track record starting from October 5th of 2021. We have a build agreement in place, a contractual agreement with Windstream for 1 gigabyte to 10 gigabyte of over 6,000 customers, if I still remember all this the right way, probably more customers now, all the way down Cedar Grove Road to the Nelson County line. So,
Thank you, and thank you for allowing us to attend. Can you hear me? My name is Stephanie Bell. I'm Vice President of Government Affairs for Windstream, and this is Brian Harmon, our President of Kentucky Operations. Next slide, please. We just kind of wanted to show you the map again of the presentation that we had made to the court that shows the area of the proposal in the Cedar Grove area, and also a portion of the Mount Washington area.
Yeah, so as we've been talking, this is kind of was requested by the county, 2020, I think, initially. It's kind of, but we've gotten to this point. The build will cover 6,200 homes. We will begin construction this summer. And we put in the contract a 2-year window to complete, just in case there's any issues, but we don't anticipate it taking that long. And you'll see, and we won't wait till everything's complete to turn it up. We'll turn it up as it's ready. So as things get completed along the way, they'll immediately have the availability of the 1 gig service. And we'll continue to look at the rest of the county for any potential federal funding opportunities that may be out there and presented to us where we can finish out the rest of the county. But when all is said and done, from the Windstream service area, about 78% of the customers in the county will be have fiber 1 gig availability.
And I did want to add, just because we've been having this real estate discussion, you know, I'm sure you're aware that studies have shown that home values go up almost 5% when you have access to fiber. So I wanted to mention that to you.
And might I mention one other thing? It's all in the areas that you're talking about developing right now.
And to help the members of the court, we prepared a timeline this morning. Like on 10/5, we went out to look for some mode of fiber optic because of the ARPA funds that we had available to service our community with infrastructure, not only for fiber optic but for water as well and emergency services. And then on 2/25/22, the bids were due. Windstream was the only company that presented a bid. 3/15/2022, Windstream was approved to present the proposal. 5/17/2022, the court had action requested to accept the bid, and it was tabled due to multiple attorneys with the contract. And I'll let Ms. Baker speak to that, but the contract seems to be in place. For logistics with the build-out, we pay $1 million down and then another $1 million when this is completed, and this comes out of our ARPA funding as well. And what this does do for our community from Zolton to Mount Washington to the City Grove area, they will all have access to fiber optic. The next area, and we've talked about it, is the western end of the county as well. So, this is the history of it, and I know Ms. Baker can answer the questions on the contractual agreement, but
You're right. I had one change, it was changed as far as things like that. We wanted it clear in the contract that the county wasn't going to pay for any easements, so we're to assist, but we're not going to pay for any easements or rights of way or anything like that. And I think there was one change though, Judge. Initially it was ARPA funds, now it's not.
Right.
So that loosened up some of the restrictions in the previous contract that we kind of added around. But no, I reviewed the contract, it's legally sufficient, and like I said, they made the addition that I asked for. So.
There you go. And to help you all with the ARPA funds, we were able to move it through Ms. Baker's past knowledge into our general account to where we could use it that way. It's just a line item transfer.
So I'm going to use one on my card. The only thing that I'd like to add or ask is I don't know who the point of contact would be just for general questions relating to getting service. I do have one road in Mount Washington. It's called East Sanders Lane. And there might be other ones, but East Sanders Lane. And I've got a couple residents, and for whatever reason, they may be talking to the wrong people. They may be getting them misinformation. But I mean, they're literally right in Mount Washington, but they've got $500,000 plus homes. Not that the size of the home makes a difference in getting internet, but they built these really, really nice homes, and now they said that they not get internet service. So I don't know if one of you all could really help me out and point me in the right direction to help give them some advice, because I don't want to say they wore me out because they've been persistent, and rightfully so, because I would be too, but I have not been able to give them any answers.
I think they've been working with the city manager, Paul.
Okay.
And so he did email me, and we have, I believe that at least one of Mr. Hall, I think his name is.
There's a Lawson.
I believe we're going to be out to his house on Thursday.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
So feel free to contact either of us too. And in addition, one thing I did forget to mention is we'll come in and give updates as you see fit, if it's each month or quarterly or however you want to do it.
Okay.
It just helps for
Yeah,
communication.
and if you two stay for just a minute, we do have one question.
I live on 480 in Livers Lane
Lane location, when will that be started?
I believe you're covered. I don't, we'll start the bill. I don't know specifically about Livers Lane, but it'll start this summer. So we anticipate getting the whole thing completed within 2 years.
Yep.
We always put 2 years in. We've done one of these deals similar in Grayson, Kentucky, which was a smaller bill. We completed it in 6 months. So I don't think we'll be able to complete this size of build in 6 months, but I'm not going to give you any firm commitment, but I do feel like it'll be way significantly less than 2 years. That makes sense. So I know I used to live on 480 many years ago. We're all 480. So I think I would assume yours were probably one of the first areas because you probably started 480 and work out.
Okay, thank you. Gary?
Will most of this will be a combination of aerial and underground?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay.
For the households, it's 60, 670, but this says 62, or?
Yeah.
In the contract, it has, 6,200, but in actuality, it'll be 6,600.
Yeah. Okay. I'll entertain any other discussion. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll put it in the form of a motion.
Okay. I have a motion by 4th District Magistrate Blamo to approve the contract with Windstream, and we'll be putting $1 million up front and then $1 million on the back end. I need a second.
Second.
Got a second by 2nd District Magistrate Logston. Any other discussion, members of the court? Sam, call the roll, please.
Judge Summers?
Yes?
Sanders?
Yes.